Hi, I'm Marcie Billen with Team Realty and Keller Mulinix, and I'm here in Norman, Oklahoma. And today I want to give you an overview of the Oklahoma City Metro. So I'm going to point out cities on the map for you, give you a little bit of overview like population, and then give you a little bit of real estate background as well. Have you subscribed to our channel? I have content every single week about real estate in Oklahoma, about travel, food, different things. So you definitely want to hit subscribe and hit that bell so that you don't miss anything. So what is the Oklahoma City Metro? Well, to people like us who live in Oklahoma City, well, I live in Norman, who live in the Oklahoma City Metro, it means that we can get to the city pretty easily, meaning in 30, maybe 40 minutes, to get to our favorite restaurants, go to the doctor, go shopping, whatever. So I'm going to cover north, south, east, and west in this video. I'm not going to cover all cities. That would take me 2 hours. But I'm going to cover the larger cities and a lot more on the east side because that's close to Tinker Air Force Base as well. If you need more information on living in Oklahoma, I would watch this video next. Okay, so we're not going to talk about all the cities within the Oklahoma City Metro because that's really a lot. You can see how many there are here on my computer screen. So I'm going to cover the high points, the ones that people typically ask me about if they're relocating to Oklahoma City, or if you're just moving, in from another area and you want to kind of understand what these different cities are like. Okay, and I'm going to focus a lot on the east side as well, which you can't see as well on some of this. They're all kind of right here, but I'm going to focus on some of that because those are some very popular places and it's close to one of Oklahoma's largest employers, which is Tinker Air Force Base. All right, I wanted to start with Norman because it's in the south and I live in Norman, so you could say that I'm a bit biased, which I totally am, and that's fine. Norman's a great place to live. Other cities that are in the south of the metro that we could talk about and one that we will talk about. So we're going to talk about more, but we're not going to talk about Noble, Lexington, Purcell, Slaughterville, Washington, Goldsby, all those places. So Norman has a population of just under 125,000 people. Norman's famous because it's home of the University of Oklahoma, which is our biggest state public university. Students from the University of Oklahoma, they don't tend to stay at the university during the summer. So like right now, like I'm filming in the summer and it is very quiet because we don't have a lot of students in town. Norman is also the city of festivals. So we have some pretty fun festivals that happen during the year, including Norman Music Festival, which is a big one, and then Jazz in June, which I think is the biggest one, but I think Norman Music Festival may have surpassed that in size. And then we also have a big Renaissance Fair in April every year, and that one's pretty amazing too. The average price of real estate in Norman is right around $200,000, and that does vary a little bit month to month. So you can see on the map here where I've outlined what Norman is. So you can see how it is how it sits in relationship to Oklahoma City. All right, next we're going to cover Moore, and you can see here on the map where Moore is. So it sits just north of Norman. It makes it a really great location if you're planning to commute to Oklahoma City every day. The city has really boomed since the 2013 tornado. It's really famous for that tornado. It did destroy a lot of the town, and since then they've worked really hard on building the city up. There's a lot of, there's a beautiful new park, Buck Thomas, and then also a ton of new restaurants and new shopping along the corridor where the tornado did hit. So despite the folklore about Moore, they do not receive yearly tornadoes, not even close. They had a big tornado in 1999 and then also one in 2013, which is scary, I'll give you that. So the population of Moore is right under 65,000. Now, whenever you drive in Moore, it's definitely going to seem bigger than that. And the reason is because Oklahoma City, if you look on the map here, Oklahoma City kind of wraps around. You can see where South Oklahoma City is. This over here is actually Oklahoma City as well. It wraps around Moore. So you can be living in Oklahoma City, but you may actually be in Moore school districts, which is kind of what we call like greater Moore. So usually if someone tells me that they don't want to live in Oklahoma City, they want to live in more, but they really just need more school districts, then a lot of times we can find them a really great house also in South Oklahoma City. That's also in Moore School District. So the average price of real estate in Moore is right at $165,000, and also that varies month to month, of course. So southwest of Oklahoma City, there are 3 small towns, and they're pretty rural communities, but people really love to live there. And one of the reasons is because it's so easy to get to Oklahoma City, Moore, or Norman from these 3 cities. And they feel like small towns, but you don't have to drive forever to actually get to, your nearest Target or anything like that. So the 3 cities that I'm talking about is Newcastle, which I have highlighted here, and then Blanchard, which is south of that, and then also Tuttle, which is right here. So you can see by the highways that they have really easy access to the city, Moore, and Norman. So most people in these cities, they end up getting to Oklahoma City or, wherever they're working via this highway, which is Highway 44. The average price of homes in Tuttle, Newcastle, and Blanchard, which does vary even more because there's not as many homes, is right around $215,000. And also in Blanchard, Tuttle, and Newcastle, you can usually find a house that may have a little bit more acreage or a little bit more room on it. Okay, so the east side of Oklahoma City, as I said, is quite popular with people. So what I have outlined here, this is actually Midwest City. So these are this red line around this highlighted area is the city of Midwest City, which is where Tinker Air Force Base is, which is the largest single site employer in Oklahoma. So Midwest City has a population of just under 60,000 people. And in some places, you really can't tell where you're in Midwest City, Del City, or Oklahoma City at times, just depending on the spot. So if you're driving to the city from Midwest City, it's a really easy drive on Highway 40 straight into the city. And there's great roads running south of Midwest City to get to that interstate. So the average price of a home in Midwest City is quite a bit lower than what we've already been talking about. It's right at $130,000. That's the average price of homes there in Midwest City. And then Midwest City also has a very popular community college called Rose State. Okay, so the next little town that I have outlined for us is Del City. So you can see it's quite a bit smaller than Midwest City was. So it's just west of Midwest City, so even closer into Oklahoma City than that. They're separated, Del City and Midwest City, but only by one road, and sometimes you can't even tell which city you're in. So many residents of Del City also work for Tinker Air Force Base because it is so close, and the real estate is a little bit less expensive in Del City, with the average home price in Del City being right at or right under $100,000. So further east in the Oklahoma City metro is the city of Choctaw. So that's what I have outlined here on the map. So Choctaw has really seen a growing popularity in the past few years. They sell quite a bit of houses out there, and they're usually pretty new builds whenever we do sell out in Choctaw. So this town actually has a population of just under 15,000, so really it's not very big, but it's very rural. So many of people who live in Choctaw also end up working at Tinker Air Force Base. And one really popular activity in Choctaw, which is famous and people go to from surrounding cities, is Oktoberfest, which is in October at the Old Germany restaurant in Choctaw. So the average price of homes in Choctaw is actually just under $265,000 or right around there. And the thing about Choctaw is a lot of times, like you said, you're going to have new construction and you're also going to have a little bit more space. So you may have an acre or a half acre, or sometimes you can get even more than that. It just depends on what you're looking for. Next stop on the tour is Hara, Oklahoma. Hara is as far east as I'm going to take you on our little tour of the Oklahoma City metro, and Hara is one of the smallest towns we're going to cover. It only has a population of around 8,000. Hara does have its own school system though, so you will get that kind of country school feel with the school system. So the average sales price of Hara for real estate is right at $170,000. So Newalla is our next stop here. Newalla has been proven to be a pretty popular community to move into. Now, it's not really a community. It's actually unincorporated. So it used to be a town and it's kind of not a town anymore. They don't have a public school system. So the kids would go to like Midwest City, Oklahoma City, Mid-Del schools, Norman schools, Little Axe, Hara, Moore, McLeod. It totally depends on where you live within Newalla. So Newalla is actually home to many new builds because there's a lot of land that was available out there, and it has really easy access, as you can tell. So this is, we're talking about this red dot here. This is Newalla. It doesn't have city limits necessarily. It kind of encompasses what other towns won't encompass. And then your address would be Newalla. So you can see that you would have easy access to Oklahoma City, Moore, Choctaw, Hara, even up here to McLeod if you lived in the Newalla area. So the average home price in Newalla is around $260,000, and that's because we see these new builds and also homes that are built on an acre to 5 acres to 20, whatever it is that your heart desires out in Newalla. All right, the next, I'm gonna go north now, north of Oklahoma City. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about is Edmond. So Edmond is one of the biggest cities in Oklahoma. It has a population of just around 95,000, so it's smaller than Norman, but bigger than all the other cities that I'm gonna be talking about today. So the historic Route 66 also runs through Edmond, and yet we see evidence of that in downtown Edmond as well. Edmond is also home to one of the fastest growing colleges in Oklahoma, the University of Central Oklahoma, and it's a huge employer also for the city. So the average home price in Edmond is right around $270,000, and in Edmond you will get more of that suburban feel instead of like a rural setting. So more homes on smaller lots in Edmond, but really easy access to the city via the Broadway extension and other highways. Next stop here is Guthrie. So Guthrie is actually the original capital of Oklahoma. So you can see how it sits north of Edmond here on my map. So this old city has a population of just under 12,000. And tourism is really important to this city since it is one of the older cities in central Oklahoma. Definitely not one of the older cities in Oklahoma in general, but that's another video for another day. Guthrie has over 2,000 buildings that are historical, so it is a registered National Historic District. So whenever you drive through Guthrie, you can see some really cool old buildings, old houses. It's kind of a hipster spot, and you'll also see some Victorian architecture, which is pretty cool. So Guthrie can be really fun to explore on the weekends. They do have a lot of different events. They have a very active city because of tourism that happens there, different rodeos and 89er days and different things like that. So Guthrie can be a really fun place to get away to on the weekend, or if you're looking for that small town life that has like this historic frontier days feel, it could be a really cool place to live. The average home price in Guthrie is right at $170,000, but you still have easy access to Edmond and the city for all of your shopping and eating needs. Okay, Yukon is our next stop in our tour of the Oklahoma City Metro. So you can see what I have highlighted here is Yukon. So Yukon has a population of right under 45,000. It does have a big Czech population. It's known as the Czech capital of Oklahoma. Czech meaning Czechoslovakian people, or from the Czech Republic, or Slovakia as it's now known. So there's actually a large Czech festival that's held in Yukon every year. And originally the city was a center for farmers because there's a lot of farming that happens on this side of the city because of how flat and plain-like the area is. So there was a big milling operation in the city of Yukon. Now it's kind of known as a place where people live and then work in Oklahoma City because it's so easy to get into Oklahoma City from the highways. So the average home price in Yukon is right at $200,000. Okay, so our next stop on our tour here is Mustang. This is a smaller community. The population is just under 25,000. You can see how part of it kind of butts up to our international airport that we have here in Oklahoma City. So it's really a growing community that of course used to be a farming community just like Yukon was, but now many residents live out in Mustang and then work in the city itself. which again, by city, I mean Oklahoma City, because as people who live in the Oklahoma City metro, when we're talking about Oklahoma City, we just say the city. So the average home price in Mustang is right at $200,000. Okay, so you may have noticed in this video that I didn't cover any of Oklahoma City itself, which is pretty much this right here, but they, in some areas it goes out further. And the reason for that is because this is a long video, and a lot of times the questions that I get are actually around where people can live outside of the city. And there's many reasons that people want to live outside of the city, and there's many reasons for people who want to live inside the city, but that's another discussion for another day. Do you have questions? Drop your questions in the comments below. And you can also email me, which my email is listed in the description. You may also want to watch this video next about the cost of living in Oklahoma.